Visit Avery.com, Avary, for the most up-to-date news and information on Team Avery.
Avery, 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 Avery,
This is the Gala Show. I'm your reporter on the beat, Gala Avery. On this episode, you may know my guest as a world-renowned breathwork artist who is reminding us all one simple thing: to breathe. Even though she's based in Toronto, you can find this level 1 Wim Hof method instructor teaching classes all over. She's an Equinox artist in residence, an Aloe instructor, and an educator who brings her knowledge straight to you on her YouTube channel, Breathe Culture Official. Today on the mic, I have someone who really helped me change my life, the Empress of Air herself, Mae Kazuko. Hey, Kira.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for that intro. You are the best.
It's really easy to write these good intros when I have like a really cool person that I'm talking to. So you did all the work. You did all the work. You were actually my very first event I ever did at Soho House.
No way.
Yeah, you were my very first one.
And what made you, what was your feeling to sign up?
Well, I had never done breathwork before. And honestly, doing it with you, I was like, oh my God, this actually is going to change my life. Thinking about it. And you were so nice and so sweet afterwards, because it's really kind of nerve-wracking to go and try for the very first time.
Yeah.
And you think you know how to breathe.
Right.
And then you carrying us through the breath work made it so easy. And in Wim Hof, you hold your breath and you do these breath holds.
We were doing 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
And when you're doing 2 minute, 3 minute, I was like, oh my God, I just did a 2 or 3 minute breath hold.
Yeah.
And for me being on mic, it's so important. My oxygen in my breath.
Totally.
So I really loved it. And then,
oh my God, that's so nice to hear. Thank you.
And it also made me feel at home at Soho House. So I have you to thank for that.
Oh my gosh. Have you gone to an event since?
Yes, I do go to the events, but I'm always like, when is she going to come back?
I know. We got to plan more, and we have to, we got big plans. We got big plans to bring the breath work everywhere. So yeah, hopefully more soon.
Amazing. So before we bring up your topic for today, I have a question for you. What's your favorite movie?
Oh my gosh. This is the best question ever. Okay, I can't pick one. I have to pick a couple.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Fine. Pretty Woman.
Okay.
Ratatouille.
Oh my God.
And then probably I would say Monsters Inc. is up there.
So are you an animated movie fan?
Kind of. I love Disney. I love Pixar. I love DreamWorks. But then I do love a good classic like Pretty Woman. Yeah. Those are my three.
What is it when you're gonna go see a movie or pick a movie? What is it that draws you to it?
It has to be a feel good. Nothing that spikes my nervous system, because I work so hard to keep that low with my breathing. So nothing scary. But usually just that it's gonna be a feel good. I haven't gone to see a movie in a very long time though. I really want to see Inside Out 2. But I would probably see that with my mom and my sister. And because they're in Toronto, Canada, and I'm not, I've been dabbling of the idea of just going on my own to see the movie. And I'm like, you know what? I should do it. I should just try to go to one movie by myself in a theater. So it might be that one.
There's some theaters. I know in Los Angeles, we have this one theater chain called Cinépolis.
Yeah.
It's a Mexican theater chain, but it's a dine-in. But it is so the most comfortable dine-in. And people will go and they have $5 old movies that you can go to.
No way.
And I went to go see Grease there, and mothers brought their children and set them up in the seats with blankets and stuff.
Come on.
And then the moms went and ate a salad and then fell asleep.
Come on. Okay, Grease is also up there for me.
I love Grease. Grease is so good.
That sounds like a vibe. So wait, what kind of food? Everything?
Everything. And the Cinépolis that they have here in California, they have different food in Mexico. Because some people have told me oh my God, we have all these Cheeto flavored popcorn. And they'll do tie-ins. So you can go see a movie and they'll have a set menu.
What?
But I always think it's so much better than we have Alamo Draft House here. And I'm always it's way better. But it's all the different kinds. They have salads, pizzas, burgers, nachos.
Okay, that's a vibe.
And it's really good. I go get a plate of nachos.
And what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is called Bugsy Malone.
Bugsy Malone?
It's a musical by Paul Williams. He did music for the Muppets. And he also did this one called Phantom of the Paradise. But it's a musical and they're all children. So it's Jodie Foster as a kid. And she did it the same year as Taxi Driver. But it's a feel-good movie.
Where can I see this?
I don't
Is it Netflix?
I think it's on, no, I think it's on streaming somewhere. Like
Okay.
on Amazon or
That'll
something.
be on my list.
But it is a feel good movie.
Okay.
Like 100%.
Okay.
It's like a feel good movie that like you can do anything you want to do.
Okay,
and, like,
good.
But they're all children playing gangsters.
Oh, okay. We love that.
Yeah, and it's an anti-violence film, so I stand with that. Now, as always, my guest gets to bring their topic to the mic. So, Kira, why don't you tell us what your topic is and why you decided to choose it?
My topic is something that I've been really working on myself, which is our reality is simply simply a mirror of what's within ourselves. And what I mean by that is we create our entire world. Everyone's reality is individual to them. And on my journey of self-development and spirituality, this is kind of the next one that I've really been dabbling with. And it takes me like left, right, back and forth all the time, because to master that topic to me is not a big feat, but it's the next feat. So I just figured it would be a great one to talk about. Before we get into the topic, it's time for our commercial break.
Back by popular demand, the Video Archives merch store is up and running. Get your favorite t-shirts, hats, notebooks, stickers, and more at videoarchivesmerch.com. You know me. I write all my notes in the Notes on Cinema notebook, the Gala edition, of course. Check out videoarchivesmerch.com to get yours today. Hey, thanks so much for being a loyal listener. If you want to keep up with me off mic, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Gala Avery.
And we're back.
You heard it here. We are going to be talking about perception of reality.
Yeah.
I have 30 minutes on the clock and our time starts now.
Right
so,
now.
Kira, when did you first like get into kind of spirituality and breathwork and stuff? Like, did you grow up with this or?
No, I grew up in a household that was pretty much neutral, not atheist, not religious, not spiritual, really nothing. My mom's side is Japanese and they grew up Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably would have called myself an atheist up until I found breathwork, which was, I think I found breathwork 4 years ago now. And my first breathwork experience was the first spiritual moment I've ever had.
Wow.
And it was, to date, still one of my biggest spiritual awakenings. I think you can have many in your lifetime and you can have different chapters of spirituality. And it just showed me that there was so much more to my physical body to discover. Mm-hmm. Because it took me to a different level of consciousness and what I feel is a different realm of where I was in space and time. And then from there, it kind of just cracked open this curiosity of like, what else is out there beyond the 3D world and what else is beyond Earth itself.
Like, what is out there?
What
there is something.
is,
and
yeah.
also what is out there and also what is inside.
What is within, 100%. And so then that just kind of snowballed. And I would say in the last year, my spirituality and my relationship within myself and with the universe has just tenfold grown so much. And what I'm realizing is that spirituality is a huge part of my purpose and what brings me a lot of happiness.
So when you had your first experience where you're like, whoa, what is that? Like, what is happening? Because I feel like with breath work, like, I went to a breathwork class after you and I had gone several times and I was like, okay, like I kind of know what my body's going to do. They always tell you like you might get hot, you might get cold,
you might get the
you might get the hands. And I was like, okay, I get cold when I do breathwork normally.
Yeah.
And then I went to this one and I got like really hot and my hands like seized
Right?
up completely. And I was not prepared for that because I thought this is so different from every single thing I've done before.
Right. It just, that experience, it was a little bit of like, oh my goodness, I I don't know what's happening. This could be really bad.
It could be scary.
Yeah, but I was just so trusting of like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just gonna go for it.
Wow, that's actually so strong, because honestly, like my mom always tells me like fear is the opposite of love.
100%.
When you're able to like release fear, like you're in a scary situation, you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna trust the process. Like the person that's taking me through this knows what they're doing, and if something's wrong, they're gonna help bring me out of it.
100%.
Or they're gonna come over and like help me in some way. And you just have to trust. And to release that fear, it really like unlocks your heart.
Right. And it what was on the other side of fear was a spiritual awakening that completely changed my life. And I don't know where I would be had I not had that moment.
Yeah, you had gnosis basically, which is just like now you see it, you can't go back.
It's crazy. It's the craziest thing. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have that though, like when they start to do breath work. And I'm not sure if it's like, I know like DMT is like produced like by your lungs naturally.
Yes. So with more intense styles of breath work, you have your pineal gland in your brain,
and you have to decalcify that by not doing fluoride and
the
all that
whole
stuff.
the whole thing. Yeah, there's so many conspiracy theories. That'll be season 3. And it produces, your pineal gland secretes DMT because it's a compound found in melatonin, which is secreted from your pineal gland. And when breath work, certain kinds of breath work, you can secrete a lot of melatonin, which in turn is DMT. So it can create a psychedelic experience, which is why people come out of it so profound, because it's no different than when you do a drug or a psychedelic and you see things differently, feel things differently. You've opened up brain pathways, and there is no going back. And it's in a good way, hopefully, for most people. And for most people's experience with breath work is that it just opens your mind and expands your mind to think differently.
Do you ever have people that have really bad experiences with breath work?
Thankfully, knock on wood, no.
I'm gonna knock
I don't think
on my head.
Yeah. Other than like maybe someone didn't like a physical experience, it's your breath. And what I always say is that your breath will show you what you need to see in that moment. So every breathwork experience is different. Maybe it's like super eye-opening. Oh my goodness. Maybe it's just you needed a good cry. Maybe you just needed to feel really relaxed. No, I've thankfully I've had all good experiences. I had a couple people like walk out of the class, but
Really?
that's so fair in the sense of like, not everyone. And again, comes back to like the perception of reality. You're not going to be for everyone, and not everyone's going to be for you. Like sometimes I'll go to a yoga class. I'm like, yo, this is not for me.
Yeah, you have instructors sometimes that maybe you just don't connect with on a personal level.
Yeah, and my teaching style, like as you may have seen, it's very unique to me, and I try and do it in a very different way. And some people like it a different way than that. So. Some people have walked out, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad experience, more just not for them.
Well, it's funny because also sometimes like the word bad, it's like you have to kind of like moderate, like what does that mean to you?
Perception of reality.
Perception of reality. Because like, for example, I like to pull tarot. Like my mom always taught me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my mom taught me how to pull tarot. And for me,
Did you bring your cards?
No, I didn't bring my cards. I know, right? My mom always told me though, like tarot is a way to do self-reflection and prayer. And that's how I always tell people, because like I'll have like guy friends specifically who like don't know how to like express like emotions or something, and I'm like, well, do you want me to pull like a card for you? Like, do you want to sit down and we can talk about it? And they're like, oh, but that's like mumbo jumbo, like seeing into the future. And I say, no, actually it's a way to just have a conversation with yourself. And sometimes I'll pull a card and the card will be like something I don't want to hear, but I have to sit and think about it. And I feel like breath work is very similar to that, because sometimes something will come to you that maybe you don't want to hear, and you'll be like, oh, that was a bad experience. But then when you reflect on it enough, you're like, I actually needed to think about that. Or it's some kind of trauma that you have that you need to confront.
Yeah, it's like a trigger, or it's something that's making you feel something other than comfortable.
Yeah, and you have to learn how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In order to grow.
Exactly. And so like you said, like when you pull a card and it's like, it's saying give love to yourself. You're like, what are you talking about? And then it's like, you really think about it. It's like, okay, yeah, like I probably should.
I used to pull cards. I was like in love with this guy. And we were dating, and I pulled a card, and I pulled the sun. And it's like, it's this great card, but it's like expansion, but it's also like, it's not going to work out. You're going to have to move on to other things. And I remember like, I was so mad when I pulled that card, and I pulled a clarification card, and it was like something, the same exact thing it was telling me. And I was like, so what is this that it's trying to tell me? what am I going to do about it? How am I going to approach it? And you just have to kind of do that perception thing of like, you can see things that are bad and turn them good. Like you can be half full, half empty.
Right.
The glass is completely empty if you really feel like it.
Yeah.
But I noticed that also, like when people start having a more positive outlook, they're more open to having positive things brought to them.
100%. And there was, I don't know what doctor said it. It's on Instagram somewhere, but it was like, what is better for you? More positive thoughts or less negative? I don't know if I worded that properly, but
that makes sense.
It's having actually less negative. So you can have, let's say, 0 positive and 5 negative. But if you have 0 positive and 0 negative, you're still in a better standing. If that makes sense. Right.
Yeah, because the negative thought really will sit and
Yeah.
ruminate with you. And also people don't, I think, always connect that thought really controls your body. And like it will make you sick. Like if you have negative thoughts.
Like so sick. And for me, that was one thing that I really struggled with before breath work was I would ruminate on negative thoughts. Like that was just like negative. And there's also another study that it said it only takes like 1 second for a negative thought to latch, but takes somewhere of like upwards of 12 seconds for a positive thought to stick within you. And so positivity, for whatever reason, actually not for whatever reason, positivity takes more practice because we from a development perspective, we survived off of looking for danger and for fear to stay alive, right? Like as a caveman, if you heard a twig breaking, you're going to think it's bad because you want to keep yourself safe.
Survival instinct.
Exactly.
It's so funny though, because it's like the negative thought though. I've heard this thing also, and they talk about it with just like a variety of things, but like your first thought that you have, like when it's a negative thought, is not really what you think. It's what you've been conditioned to think. And then the second thought that you have is actually like what you think. And I thought that was like really interesting.
And for me, my conditioned thoughts, I would say most of them came from again, that's my own perception of reality. For me, it came from my parents. Like everyone's different. It could be from like your school or
your teachers or your friends,
right? Wherever you were most influenced in your life. But yeah, conditioned. Like it's interesting that the second thought, and I wonder how many people know that and listen to that second thought.
Yeah, and just stop at the first. Whenever I have like a really negative self-talk to myself, I actually go to the mirror.
Love
and
that.
I talk to myself in the mirror positively.
Yes.
And I'm like, I have to do that.
And I only started doing this recently of like looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you.
Oh, it feels so good.
Right? But in the beginning,
it's weird.
I was like, bleh. Like wanting to, like my shoulders are rolling. Actually, this is a crazy story. Like 2 years ago, maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, one of my best friends, she made me look in the mirror and she was like, tell yourself you love yourself. But I was like, I can't do it. It's making me feel physically ill to tell myself I am beautiful and I love myself. That was 2.5, 3 years ago. And like, it's been such a journey since then, but to have like a physical reaction. And since then to be able now to say, look in the mirror and say, I love you. It's like, it's crazy. The uncomfortable you have to go through to get to the other side.
Yeah. And I feel like also people become more beautiful when they love themselves. Like they shine from within.
100%. If you think you're beautiful, everyone else thinks you're beautiful. Perception of reality.
Have you ever seen those pictures of people that have like before they break up and after they break up, like the glow up of a breakup?
Oh my God, yeah.
And I saw this one recently where it was this girl and she was like, this man that I was with was making me bald. And they showed a picture of the back of her head and her hair was so thin. And then she's like, this is me now. And it was like 6 months later and she has like the most full, beautiful blonde hair. And maybe it's partially extensions, who knows? But it was like 100%. Night and day. And you see people, it's like, that's why people lose weight because like when you're in a toxic situation, you perceive negative all the time.
Yes. And it's like, there's that book, The Body Keeps Score, and it literally does. Like, I know lots of other women who have similar experiences where it's like they were dating a guy and like their back was breaking out and, acne, and then they stop talking to them and then it clears up. And it's like
your body's physical reaction.
Yeah. And your body knows. And I think I not that it's new, but there's this, I think, new wave of consciousness that's coming to the surface of like your body. And again, this all comes to spirituality too, of like, there's a level of consciousness that is changing, of people are awakening to themselves and their intuition and their body and listening to that and all the things.
So when you first had like your awakening, let's call it, through your breath work, what did you do? Like, what were your next steps to cultivate that?
Oh my gosh. It was interesting because that was something that no one in my network and my family would have expected from me.
And what were you doing before, like, your breath work?
I was a 180.
Really?
This would not exist.
Wow.
This would not exist. No. Us sitting here on the hotel floor having a podcast. No. I was miserable working in strategy and operations at a startup.
Wow. You were in the tech life. You were in the corporate life.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing is everyone in this city that I talk to that does like health and wellness that like really loves it and has a passion for it and like wants to help others comes from corporate 9 to 5.
100%. And it was like, I was just fitting a mold of what I was conditioned to believe was what my life was to be. And I had never taken a moment to think differently of what else was out there, what I wanted. It was just kind of the conditions I grew up on. And so once I had this spiritual awakening, it was very like my network, the guy I was dating at the time, friends, family were just like, what's kind of going like
who are you now?
Yeah, very much so. And after kind of finding my equilibrium and my balance, like I shed a lot of that. I've kept a couple close friends, but a lot has changed where I just shed old people and old networks and kind of on a different side.
Yeah, I also hear that like when we talk about things that are spiritual, like vibration, I think a lot about vibration, especially, and I'm sure you think of it in breath work and sound, etc. But like that people vibrate at different levels, and when you start vibrating at a higher level, you no longer either are in tune with sometimes people can't even see you that are vibrating at a lower level. It's really weird, or they can't hear you.
It's like energy is life. And like I was thinking, I don't know what someone like, I can't remember who was like, what's your type? Or like, who's your type? And I'm like, energy.
It's
like,
an energetic thing.
It's just, if you get it, you get it. You don't. And you hope that everyone can, because when you can tap into your energy and because like you said, everyone's vibrating at a different like frequency and no one's right or wrong in where they're vibrating. But when you can tap into where you feel your best vibrating, because just because someone might be vibrating down here doesn't mean that's where they're best, and you hope that they can find the level that makes them feel the happiest.
Yeah.
But when you are on that and you can feel that, then you can find the people on that same frequency who align with you, and it just makes life so much easier.
And they don't make you feel tired. No. That's the thing, is because like a lot of people, like when like, I don't know, and it might sound weird to some people to be like talking about like this kind of thing, like, oh, you vibrate at a different level, but it's true. Some people so you just different. Like, and then when you sync up together, it's like just energy is formed and you feel so good.
And then it's like, I'd rather have one friend that I vibe with energetically than 10 that I am like, ugh. Because once you're on an energy, once you're leading with energy, it's just, you can feel it so much in your body where you're drained, you're feeling good. And so that's why I teach breathwork, in the hopes that people can find their
perfect like vibration,
their soul, their spirit.
So what were the steps that you took to kind of like continue your enlightenment? Like if you didn't have people to lean on because they weren't in the same kind of sphere. Spiritual,
at least for me, it can definitely have moments of like solitude for sure. But the steps I took, a lot of journaling.
It's so funny because people that have told me this in the past tell me solitude is like the first step to find out who you really are. Yeah.
A lot of solitude, a lot of journaling. Journaling is like still to this day I do it every day, if not twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day.
Wow.
And if I don't, I'm in my notes trying to write things down if I don't have a notebook near me. But journaling for sure was a big one. And then once you can kind of start to make sense of it yourself on paper, because it's hard to articulate how you feel to others if you can't articulate it to yourself. So a lot of journaling, and then It was, how can I integrate this into my life in a way that makes me happy? And it was by quitting my corporate job.
That must have been scary though.
Oh yeah, it was at first, but then I'm like, this is the best decision I ever made. But at first I'm like, it's like that. What am I doing? Oh my God, hands! You're freaking out. Your head is in your hands. Very scary. But there's that. I don't know if it's a quote, but on the other side of fear is your dreams, and it's just
you have to just get past it.
Yeah, fear is not real. Fear is a perception that you create from within and you make. The only thing that exists is love. That is the only thing that truly exists. Wow. So fear is what you create, and your reality is all made up from within yourself. Life does not come at you, it comes through you. So if you feel fear, it's because you are creating it. Yeah.
I love that. Life comes through you, not at you.
That's also not me. That's a quote from somebody.
But I still love that. Whoever said that.
I'm not gonna be
like, it's Kira said it. And
I would love, if that was my quote, I would love that.
Do you ever read through your old journal entries and like think about how much you've changed or grown? Or
you know what? It's funny. Someone had asked me something similar to that, and I was like, I actually try. I don't know why. I haven't figured that out yet, but I try not to look back.
Interesting.
So no, but I'm sure I'm sure if I did, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
But I do my best to not look back. And again, I think this is just the time of my life that I'm in with my journey of spirituality, and that can always change, but I am doing my best to not look back and not look in the future, like just to be present. I'm really working on being so present in this moment only and nothing else, because this is the only moment that exists. The past is not real. It doesn't exist anymore. The future is not real. The only moment is now. So I really try not to look in the past. Yeah.
I love that. So it's funny when you talk about the past and the future, and now is the moment. I'm a huge 90 Day Fiance fan. I think people that listen to me know this, and I watch it with my whole family. Like my brother.
I love this. You're the coolest.
I love 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah.
And someone on like the new season has like an entourage as her friends, and it's like her makeup artist, her hair artist, her injector, her lash girl.
I love this.
And one of them is her life coach. And my brother at first was like, this life coach is grifting her, like all this stuff. And then we kind of realized, no, the life coach is like actually looking out for her. But I was telling my brother, like the difference between like a life coach and like a therapist is like, they say that counseling, you are looking at the future and like where you want to be, and therapy, you're looking at the past.
Yes.
And you're kind of evaluating that. And so it's funny because like you have the future and the past, and then you also have the now.
Yeah.
And people ignore the now.
Yes.
Because you're like so preoccupied with like either where have I been that's caused me to feel this way, or like where do I want to be that will make me not feel this way.
100%. And I think there's like that balance of having all, and like sometimes you need to be in the past moment. You know, there's a time and a place for that, and there's a time and a place for the future. But that's so interesting that you said there isn't really, you know, a name of a person. I guess you'd call it like a Buddha or a monk who is more of like just in the now.
Just focus on the now.
But the more that I focus in the now, like the happier and the calmer I am. But don't get me wrong, like I still, you know, do plan my future, and I have goals and visions, but I think I'm not what I might be doing with my practice of presence is when I think of the future, I don't have time and timelines on it. So I have a vision board, and I have goals, and I have values, and I have things I want to cultivate and manifest and visualize, but I don't latch on to I want this in tomorrow or in a year from now or when I'm 45 or whatever that may be.
That's so important, because honestly, like when I was growing up, I had this like perfect vision of exactly how my life was going to go.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm going to get married at 25. I'm going to have my first kid at 28.
And remember, 25 was old as...
I know. And I felt like, but also because my mom and my grandma were both like at 28, they had my dad and then my brother, or they had my dad and then me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then when 25 came and I was single, I was like,
What?
And then when 28 came and I was still
You're
single,
like, I really got this all wrong.
I was like, oh my God. And for a while, I kind of beat myself up about it because I'm like, I'm a
Totally.
goal-oriented person and I didn't reach these
Totally.
goals. And then I realized like, okay, there's no time frame on that really that I have to be like, by this moment, I have to be at this place because
Right.
life is so different all the time.
And say you were dating someone
Yeah.
and and then it's like, okay, if I'm going to make this goal, I'm going to marry them right now. You know, it's like probably wouldn't have been the person.
That's the thing
right?
also because like when you want to slot people into your life, it tends to not be the perfect person because you're
Right.
forcing things and you're forcing them to make this goal. But if you don't have a time limit on these things, if you're like, one day I would just like this to happen for me, I feel like there's a lot less anxiety about it.
Yes. And you stay open and it keeps you open to the flow of energy and just the divine timing of when everything is meant to happen just as it should. I'm also working through that time doesn't exist. And that's one that really melts my mind. And I have a hard time conceptualizing that, but time really doesn't exist. So if you find your husband at 25 to 35 to 55, it doesn't matter because you're finding them exactly when you should.
That's the thing. You're the exact person you're meant to be to meet them. Because if like if
exactly.
you didn't have all these prior life experiences that you had gone through, it's funny because like I keep a journal also.
Yeah?
But the other day I was at my parents' house, so I had all my old journals, and I
Yeah.
just picked one up and flipped open. I
No
was like,
way.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm so happy I'm not that person anymore.
Right?
I was like, this
Incredible.
person seems like a really unhappy person actually because of like they're making excuses or like they're doing this. And I'm able to look back at that. And I don't like to read through like every entry, but I just flipped to a random one. I was like, wow, okay, I don't see the growth because I'm living my life every day. But then there it is.
But then it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy to, again, it's maybe I should just open a page just to see, but it's
only when
it's
you
very
feel like it though.
it's
Only
very
when like the
interesting.
spirit tells you to.
Yeah,
Only when
for
it's like
sure.
you need to look back and see
For
where you've
sure.
come from or how much you've grown or
Yeah.
maybe here's something that you need to take with you.
Yes.
Because that's the
for
thing. I think a
sure.
lot of people try to just like leave their past behind, but there's so much to gain from it.
Very true. Very, very, very true. A lot of reflection can come from it.
Yeah.
A lot of reflection. When you journal, do you have like a strict, or not a strict, but like a regimen, or are you more like stream of consciousness?
So it's funny. It's like I feel like when I journal, it is always different.
Mm.
When I'm actually like out of my groove of journaling, and I feel like because when my life gets so busy, I mean I journal in different ways.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I keep notes like
Yes,
in my notes
yes.
app or like on my computer
Yeah.
about things that happen in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
life, or like I'll be driving, I'll say, oh, make a note. I just saw this thing happen, or like this thought popped in my
Yeah,
head,
yeah.
and then I'll find those like years
Yeah,
later in my
yeah,
notes. Oh
yeah.
God, once I woke up in the middle of the night and I wrote a note on my notes app.
No way.
And it's literally, what does it say? It says something like, how cute wet salt is because they're all hugging each other. And I look back at that all the time.
How cute wet salt is because they're hugging. You know what?
It's almost a haiku. I used to wake up and have haikus in my head and
Okay,
I'd write them
but
down.
I'm really big right now on writing down my dreams. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, like I'm like, ugh, but I'll do it and I'll pull out my notepad and write them because truly I'm in the stage of my life where I believe your dreams are coming from
They 100% are.
So that I feel like that's going to be like your next book or something. I don't know. Like that's crazy.
I know but it was so funny because I look back at that note all the time specifically because I'm like, what did I mean when I wrote this? And I didn't remember
and I
writing
bet
it.
you at some point in your life,
It'll make sense.
It's all going to make effing sense, and it'll be like an orgasm in your brain.
I'm literally like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that one time that I did that.
It's all gonna make sense.
For a while though, I was like haunted by the number 3, which is the most random thing. I would like wake up with like the number 3 like flashing at me, and I started having haikus are 575.
Okay.
But I used to wake up with a haiku in my head like every single night, and I have like a whole file of them, and then it went away eventually.
Do you still have the file?
I still have the file. Yeah, it's
Is it
really
Is
long.
it big enough to make a poetry book?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you please?
My haikus that came rushing at me.
Please. That's a vessel from God.
I know, but that's the funny thing. And I look back through those every now and then. But it
Yeah.
used to be something that came to me super, super easily at one period of my life. And then it kind of went
Interesting.
away.
Isn't that funny how that happens? It's like, it's no different than it's like when you feel like you're in flow or artist or anyone talk about like, you know, that the one song, it came through me in 10 minutes. It's like when that channel is open and wherever your body is and wherever your soul and your spirit is and aligning with, you know, energy in the universe and whatever, you know, you believe in comes through you and it just flows out.
I'm a firm believer in the ether.
Oh, yeah.
And basically that anyone who is being creative is basically channeling the ether. They are allowing themselves to tap in and reach into it and pull for themselves. And that's why when you have an idea and you speak it into the universe, if you don't act quickly on it, someone else is going to grab it. I 100% feel that way.
That's when he said, I have a breath work that's called Find Your Ether.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's all about,
gosh.
it's like this, like a quick little music journey. And I try to take you to a place where you're like in that space where you're like, that in between to whatever you want and think and feel, you just like grab onto and write it down. But yeah, 100%.
When you're designing your breath work, because I know you have it on YouTube and then you also do it for these like people in person.
Yeah.
What inspires you like to do it?
It depends. Like sometimes it'll be like I'll make a playlist before because all my in-person classes are with music, not just necessarily like meditation music. And so it depends, like maybe if I have a feeling of what I want the class to feel, or I will just choose music as the class is going based on energy and what I feel like everybody could use in that moment. And it works because it's like you can tell energy is real, and so people pick up on that, whether they subconsciously know that from the other person in the room, you know, might be getting emotional, and that might inspire that person to say, screw it, I'm going to let myself get to that place. And so if everyone's in an emotional place, I might play something that helps them like really release, or maybe people are more just like vibing and like more aggressive and want to get out some energy. So it's a mix. Like I might go in with a planned playlist, but I try and just kind of switch around as I go.
Has anyone ever told you you're like a DJ?
It's kind of, yeah. I joke. I'm like, don't thank me. Like I was just the DJ and you guys are just breathing. That's all I was here to do. The only thing is like the stop and go of the music can sometimes be a little bit annoying, but I don't want to I've thought about doing a playlist and kind of making it so it blends, but then that holds me and kind of chains me down. So I'm a DJ, but I'm a bad DJ.
No, I think you're a great DJ. I think you're a great DJ. That is all the time that we have for today. But Kira, is there any final thought that you want to share with the audience?
Final thought that I want to share with the audience. If you are listening to this right now, I encourage you to follow my voice, close your eyes as I'm speaking. And as you inhale, feel your belly expand, and then breathe in deeply. And then as you exhale through a straw as if you're about to whistle, and exhale so slowly, and feel your shoulders relax. Just one conscious breath is all you need. That's all I have to say.
Thank you to my guest, Kira Mae Kazuko, for coming on to the show. If you'd like to keep up with Kira, you can do so on her Instagram, Kira Mae Kazuko, or on her website, breathcultureofficial.com. I'm Gala Avery, and this has been The Gala Show. The Gala Show is brought to you by Avery.com. This episode was executive produced by Roger Avery and produced by Gala Avery. Music composed by Andy Milburn. As always, I'm your host, Gala Avery. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. Despite me sharing the same last name with this charity, I don't have any affiliation with it, besides the fact that the issue is very near and dear to my heart. Did you know that in the United States, 2.7 million children currently have a parent in prison, and it's estimated that 10 million children have experienced parental incarceration at some point in their lives? I was one of these kids, and as an adult, I am really grateful to be able to give back to Project Avery. Their mission is to build leadership from within by supporting community through programs such as mentoring and outdoor education, and also to remove the stigma surrounding having a parent that's incarcerated. You don't have to feel alone. If you know a kid who could use these resources or would like to donate money or time to the charity, please go to Project Avery, that's AVARY.org, to check out what this amazing charity is all about. Again, that's projectavery.org. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.